The 8 habits you need to achieve success. Ever wonder why some people attract wealth while others work their entire lives and stay broke? Why does money flow easily into some hands but slip through other fingers no matter how hard they grind? It's not about how much you earn, not luck, not talent. Here's what nobody tells you. Wealth is built on habits. Simple, consistent, smart habits practiced daily. 2 people earn the same paycheck. One ends up wealthy, the other ends up broke, wondering what happened. The difference? 8 specific habits the wealthy practice that poor people never learn. Rohn said it best. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Not 100 disciplines, not 50, just a few done daily. That's the pattern to prosperity. These 8 habits aren't flashy tricks or secret formulas. They're practices you can learn and benefit from for the rest of your life. Adopt just one, you'll feel the shift. Adopt all 8, and your entire financial future could transform. Not overnight, over time. Success is built by the inch, not the mile. Habit 1. The clarity weapon. 2 ship captains left the harbor on the same day. Captain A announced to his crew, "We're sailing somewhere nice. No map, no specific destination, just vague intention." They sailed in circles for years, never reaching anywhere meaningful. Supplies ran low mid-ocean. The crew mutinied. Captain A died, confused about why his journey failed. Captain B plotted the exact coordinates before leaving port. "We're sailing to this specific island, arriving this specific date." He encountered the same storms as Captain A, the same rough seas, the same challenges, but every decision got filtered through one question. Does this move us toward our destination? He reached the island exactly as planned. His crew thrived. If you don't know where you're going, how will you ever get there? That's why clarity creates confidence, and confidence leads to action. Most people drift financially. They say things like, "I just want to be rich," or "I hope I can retire someday." But hope isn't a strategy. Wealth doesn't respond to vague intentions. It responds to clear direction. Define what success means for you specifically. Is it paying off debt, saving your first $10,000, investing regularly, owning a home? Whatever it is, write it down, name it, own it. Because when you do, your mind begins searching for ways to make it real. I remember when I first got serious about finances, tired of just getting by, I wanted freedom, so I sat down with a notebook and wrote 3 goals for the year. First, pay off $3,000 in credit card debt. Second, save $5,000 for emergencies. Third, invest $100 monthly into retirement. 3 simple goals. But something shifted when I wrote them. They weren't just ideas anymore, they were targets. Every decision went through the filter. Does this purchase help or hurt my progress? Month by month, debt shrank, savings grew, and investments built momentum. Ships without destinations drift in circles. Specific coordinates create arrival. Take a few minutes today and write 3 financial goals for the next 12 months. Make them clear, specific, exciting, and slightly scary. Habit 2, the foundation discipline. A business owner had an employee who showed up early every day, stayed late, never complained, and worked harder than anyone else. The most valuable worker in the entire company. But the owner never paid him. He gave all his money to suppliers and bills first. The employee eventually quit. Without him, the business collapsed within months. Another owner understood something crucial. He paid his best employee first before anyone else got a dollar. That employee stayed loyal, worked even harder, and the business thrived for decades. Your savings are that loyal employee. It works for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Never gets tired, never complains. Every dollar you save goes to work building security, freedom, and opportunity for your future. But if you don't feed it, nurture it, respect it, it can't help you. Rohn's mentor, Earl Schoaf, gave him a principle that changed everything. Start by saving a dime out of every dollar. Jim protested. "I'm barely getting by. I can't afford to save right now." Schoaf looked at him and said, "You can't afford not to. If you can't save $10 out of 100, you'll never be able to save $100 out of 1,000. That hit him. From that moment, Jim paid himself first, no matter how little he made. At first, it felt small, almost silly. What's the point of saving $10? But that habit did something powerful. It gave him control. It told his money where to go instead of wondering where it went. Most people do the opposite. They spend first and hope something's left at the end of the month. But there never is. Because money, like time, disappears when it isn't managed. Starting today, save something before paying anything else. Even if it's just 5%, 3%, 1%, start small and let that habit take root. Because once you do, you're no longer just working for money, you're letting your money start working for you. Habit 3, the invisibility advantage. I once met a millionaire who drove a 10-year-old car. The seats were worn, the paint a little faded, but it ran well and it was paid off. I asked him, "Why don't you get something new? Surely you can afford it." He smiled and said, "I could, but I'd rather use my money to buy time." That stuck with me. He didn't see his money as something to spend on attention. He saw it as a tool to buy freedom. Freedom from stress, from debt, from working just to keep up appearances. Wealth isn't about the car in your driveway or the label on your clothes. It's about the options you create, the security you build, and the peace you enjoy. When you live below your means, you create a gap, a margin between what you earn and what you spend. And it's in that gap where wealth is built. That's the space where you save, invest, and grow. But most people do the opposite. As soon as they get a raise, they raise their lifestyle. A better paycheck turns into a bigger house, a new car, and more nights out. It feels good in the moment, but it creates a trap. That's called lifestyle inflation, and is one of the biggest enemies of wealth. Because the more your expenses rise to meet your income, the more you stay stuck in the same financial cycle, no matter how much more you make. Living below your means is about taking control. It's saying, I don't need to spend everything I earn just because I can. It's choosing to value the future more than the moment. The millionaire with the old car didn't care what people thought. He cared about being free. And because he lived below his means, he had investments growing, savings, stacking, and the time to enjoy life on his terms. That's the reward. It's not about living small, it's about living smart. Next raise you get, don't upgrade your lifestyle. Redirect that entire raise to savings and investments. Create the gap. That's where wealth lives. Habit 4, the awareness power. A ship captain noticed his vessel arriving at port with less cargo than when it departed. He assumed thieves or storms had taken the goods, but the truth was different. His ship had hundreds of tiny holes in the hull. Each hole leaked just a drop per hour. No single hole was obvious, but combined they created a massive loss over the voyage. He spent 30 days finding every leak and plugging each one. Next voyage, he arrived with his full cargo intact. Most people don't have a money problem. They have an awareness problem. It's not that they don't earn enough, it's that they don't know where their money is going. It slips through their fingers like sand, and they're left wondering why there's never enough at the end of the month. But here's the truth. You can't manage what you don't measure. If you were the CEO of a company and had no idea how much money was coming in or going out, how long would that company survive? Not long. Yet that's how many people run their personal finances. In the dark. They spend on autopilot, swipe the card without a second thought, and feel shocked when the account balance is lower than expected. For the next 30 days, write down every single expense. Every coffee, every gas fill up, every online purchase, every bill. Don't skip anything. Use a notebook or an app, whatever works for you. The point isn't to judge yourself, it's to understand yourself. You're creating awareness. What you'll find might surprise you. You'll start to see patterns, little leaks in your financial ship. Maybe it's eating out too often. Maybe it's subscriptions you forgot about. Maybe it's impulse spending when you're stressed. Whatever it is, you can't fix what you can't see. When Rohn started tracking his spending, he said it was like putting on glasses for the first time. Suddenly, things became clear. He could see where his money was going, and more importantly, where it should be going instead. Invisible leaks sink ships slowly. Awareness plugs the holes before you drown. Habit 5, the compounding magic. 2 farmers received seeds on the same day. Farmer A studied weather patterns obsessively. He waited for the perfect day to plant, ideal temperature, perfect soil moisture, favorable moon phase. He studied for years. The perfect conditions never came. He died with a barn full of unplanted seeds. Farmer B planted seeds every single week regardless of the weather. Rain, shine, hot, cold, he kept planting. Some seeds failed, most grew. 20 years later, he had endless harvests, feeding his entire village. Farmer A's barn sat full of rotting potential. Saving protects what you have. Investing grows what you have. That's the difference. The wealthy don't just earn money. They make their money earn for them. But most people think investing is about timing the market or waiting until they have a large amount saved up. That's the trap. True investors know wealth isn't built by waiting. It's built by planting. Just like the farmer doesn't wait for the perfect day to plant crops, you shouldn't wait for the perfect moment to invest. Start small. Start now. Then keep planting every chance you get. There's a saying in real estate, don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait. That principle is powerful. It's not about getting rich overnight. It's about making small, consistent investments that compound over time. That's how fortunes are made, through patience, discipline, and understanding compound growth. Think of every dollar you invest as a seed. When you plant it, nothing happens overnight. You don't see growth immediately. But if you water it, feed it, protect it, one day that seed becomes a tree. That tree bears fruit. The fruit produces more seeds. Those seeds grow into more trees. That's compounding. It's not flashy, but it's powerful. It rewards the steady, not the impulsive. the committed, not the curious. Most people don't get wealthy because they keep waiting for the right moment, the perfect investment, until they feel ready. But the perfect moment never comes. Perfect conditions never arrive. Consistent planting, regardless of the weather, creates harvests. Start investing regularly today. Habit 6, the mind expansion. Two woodcutters worked in the same forest. Woodcutter A worked 12 hours daily with a dull axe. He was exhausted, had barely cut any trees, and complained constantly about how hard life was. Woodcutter B worked only 10 hours cutting, but spent 2 hours every day sharpening his axe. He cut 3 times more trees with less effort. After years, Woodcutter A was still struggling with his dull blade, while Woodcutter B became the forest master, teaching others his sharpening technique. Your income will never grow past your personal development. Your financial life will never rise above your understanding of it. Jim Rohn said it perfectly. Formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. Think about that. School may teach you how to get a job, but it rarely teaches you how to grow, how to invest, how to think about wealth. That's something you have to take into your own hands. Nobody else will do it for you. You've got to become the student of your own life. Just 30 minutes a day can transform your thinking. Focus reading, listening to an audiobook, or studying a subject that helps you grow. Over time, that small daily habit rewires your mind. You begin to see patterns others don't see. You start thinking differently, making decisions with more wisdom, and seeing opportunities you would have missed before. When I started this habit, it felt strange. I wasn't used to reading about money, mindset, or personal growth. But I made a commitment, 30 minutes daily, no matter what. Slowly, my thinking began to change. I started understanding why I made the financial mistakes I did. I learned about investing, saving, and building value. Most importantly, I started believing I could do better. That belief was born from knowledge. Every successful person never stops learning. They understand that yesterday's knowledge won't solve tomorrow's problems. They stay hungry, stay curious, stay humble enough to admit they don't know everything. Dull tools exhaust workers. Sharp tools multiply output with less effort. Feed your mind daily, 30 minutes, one book, one podcast, sharpen your axe. Habit 7, the multiplication strategy. A performer stood on stage balancing on one leg for his show. At first, he balanced fine. Over hours, his leg tired and wobbled. Eventually, he collapsed when the leg gave out. The show ended in failure. Another performer used a 3-legged stool for his act. Midway through the performance, one leg broke, but he kept performing on the 2 remaining legs without falling. The audience never even noticed the break. Relying on one income source is like standing on one leg. It might hold you for a while, but eventually it wears out, and when it does, you fall. The wealthy don't rely on a single paycheck. They create options, they diversify, they build income streams that continue flowing even when they're not actively working. Start small, start smart, and start with what you already have. Most people overlook their own potential because they're waiting for something big. But almost every business, every income stream, every breakthrough starts with one skill, one idea, one opportunity nurtured, developed, and multiplied over time. I remember meeting a man who started with nothing more than a love for photography. He had a full-time job, but on weekends took portraits for friends and family. He wasn't thinking of it as a business at first, just something he enjoyed, but he treated it seriously. He got better, invested in learning, upgraded equipment, built a website, and slowly began charging more. What started as a side hustle turned into a thriving business. Eventually, it brought in more than his job. When the time came, he made the leap. Not out of desperation, but with a plan and a foundation. A second stream doesn't have to replace your main income overnight, it just needs to exist. Because once it does, you gain something precious, options. And with enough streams flowing, you create financial independence. If one stream dries up, you're not devastated, you're prepared. One leg eventually fails. Multiple legs keep you standing through any break. Identify one skill or interest that could generate income and start exploring it for 5 hours weekly. Habit 8, the environmental effect. A thermometer was placed in a cold room. The thermometer adapted to the room temperature and became cold. It had no power to change the temperature, only reflected. It complained about the coldness but never changed anything. A thermostat was placed in the same cold room. The room adapted to the thermostat. The thermostat set the standard and the environment followed. The room became warm. Your environment shapes your behavior more than you think. It influences your habits, your standards, and your thinking. Whether you realize it or not, you're always becoming like the people you're around the most. Jim Rohn famously said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." That line isn't just clever, it's a mirror. If you want to know where your life is headed, look at your circle. Are the people closest to you pushing you forward or pulling you back? Are they inspiring you to grow or keeping you comfortable where you are? I've seen people with great potential lose years of progress because they refused to leave environments that didn't serve them. They stayed around people who complained, made excuses, spent recklessly, and mocked ambition. Slowly, without realizing it, they adopted the same habits. Not because they were weak, but because the environment always wins over intention. If you want to level up your life, you've got to level up your circle. This doesn't mean cutting everyone off, but it does mean making conscious choices about where you spend your energy. It means seeking out people who are ahead of you, who think bigger, who live with discipline and purpose. I remember feeling stuck once, working hard but making no progress. Then I started spending time with people who were building things, people who read daily, invested consistently, and talked about goals and strategy instead of gossip and problems. Just being around them shifted something in me. I started thinking differently, acting differently. Thermometers adapt to rooms. Thermostats make rooms adapt to them. Audit your circle today. Are they building or drifting? Be the thermostat. 8 habits separating those who build wealth from those who stay broke. Not about luck, talent, or where you started. About daily disciplines practiced consistently. Clear goals before sailing. Pay yourself first, like protecting the best employee. Live below means to create the gap. Track every dollar to plug leaks. Invest consistently regardless of the weather. Sharpen your mind daily like sharpening axes. Build multiple income streams so one broken leg doesn't collapse everything. Surround yourself with thermostats, not thermometers. Jim Rohn was right. Success is a few simple disciplines practiced daily. Wealth is built brick by brick through quiet repetition. This week, choose one habit, master it before adding another. Small acts repeated consistently create compound effects over time. Your future wealthy self is watching. Choose discipline. Start now.